Hello and welcome to a new episode of Good Old Podcast. I'm Jack Frenchly for Wahoo's 24/7. And guys, gals, we have done it. We've made it to game week. Virginia will kick off the season this weekend in Nashville, Tennessee when they play the Tennessee Vols. And we will be there for the game. We're excited to get back on the road to cover some football. So we'll have full coverage leading up to the game on Wahoo's 24/7. And of course, we'll have post game coverage as well on Wahoo's 24/7. And we're also going back to our regular scheduled podcast schedule, which we had during the season last year, except one minor tweak. Instead of three episodes a week, we're going down to two, one on Monday and then one on Thursday, with an option on Wednesday if we have any big recruiting news to discuss. So Monday and Thursday will be our regular schedule. Now we might switch that Thursday one to Wednesday evening for some early games, let's say Friday night games, especially if there's a Thursday night game. So we might tweak it to make it one day earlier, but most of the time it'll be Monday and Thursday when it comes to our regular scheduled podcast talking about the games. So very exciting. As far as what's going on this week, Tuesday, Tony Elliott will hold his first weekly press conference. And then the coordinators, both John Brzezinski and Des Kitchings, will talk to the media on Wednesday ahead of Tennessee. We'll also have Behind Enemy Lines, where we're going to be asking the 24/7 writers over at the Tennessee site, Patrick Brown, about the Vols and what is to expect. And we'll have plenty of other content previewing the game lined up over the course of the next few games. Recruiting is also set to pick up, with Virginia football hosting recruits for home games, but also the coaches going out on Friday night to evaluate student athletes. So what better way to prepare for the football season and also prepare for the recruiting season than having a special guest on the show? We invited Director of Recruiting Justin Speros to the show to discuss Virginia's philosophy when it comes to recruiting, talk about the transfer portal, and also talk about things that have changed in recruiting. I mean, a lot has changed in just the last year. I mean, I'm not just talking about the transfer portal. I'm talking about the recruiting calendar. So after the break, Speros will join us on the show to talk about all of that and more. Welcome back. And as you see, like I promised, we have a Director of Recruiting Justin Speros onto the show. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, listen, very, very happy to be here and then talking some ball with you, Jackie. So happy and honored to be on the show.
I hope you had a little bit of a break in that month of July, but I feel like with the recruiting calendar and the way it is, do you even have a break anymore?
Oh man, well, it's definitely gotten hectic, right? The whole month of June is just kind of chaos from start to finish, but chaos in a good way though. It was a really productive month for us. We had a lot of great things happen during that month, and definitely made some good headway there. But at the very end of the month, we did kind of press pause for a second. Everybody took about 2.5-3 weeks to kind of get out of the office and just reset with the upcoming grind of the season about to start. So I did, I took a break. I went down to Florida for a little bit, hit the beach for a little bit. So that was much needed. But so yes, we had a brief moment to kind of just press pause.
And you mentioned Florida. That's where you came from. You came from USF to Virginia when Tony Elliott accepted the job. But you're a Virginia native. So I want to talk about just a little bit of your background, because I don't know many people understand that you are from the state of Virginia. You went to Langley High School. Your family's in the area. How amazing was it when Tony Elliott, who you knew at your time at Clemson, called you to basically return home?
Oh, it was I mean, truly, it was incredible when it all went down. I had a chance to work for, Jeff Scott down at USF, which was awesome. But that was a previous Clemson connection as well. And really had a great couple years down there in Tampa as far as my experience. I really learned a lot. But when Coach Elliott called me up, it was actually 2 days before Christmas Day. So it was on December 23rd. I still remember it. And man, it was like the best Christmas gift ever. Just being able to come home and kind of just be reunited with family and friends, and have so much family still in the state that are big UVA fans and whatnot. So it was kind of surreal to really get here to Charlottesville in January of 2022 and just move to Charlottesville. Have a ton of friends that went here, so they all thought it was incredible. But no, and it's been even better than I could have really realized just coming here. It's been amazing. All the people here, everybody from Dr. Williams all the way down have been incredible. So um, it's been really really fun.
And your family has such a big background in football. I think your dad went to Clemson, your brother went to Richmond and played, your grandfather played at Maryland. Was it always what you thought you were going to do something in relation to football?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, from the time I was a young kid, right? From the time I was, I can really even remember it was always football. Like football was always what I wanted to do. Whether it was playing or working in football, coaching, working on the admin side. Like I knew that football was always what I wanted to do. And so as I got older, obviously I wasn't blessed maybe with my dad's and brothers just size and athletic ability to play college. So when I went to Clemson as a freshman, I got involved with the football program um, and it was incredible being able to walk in the building and just kind of have a foot in the door. Started off in recruiting, right? So I spent my first semester working in recruiting. And then as I kind of got to know the lay of the land and got familiar with the landscape there, I got a little bit more involved with the offensive side of the football, which is where I met Coach Elliott. Um, and from there, really kind of built our relationship and worked on the offensive side of the football for my whole career there as a student and just fell in love with it. So that's kind of where I fell in love with personnel and building a roster and all that kind of stuff. So it was always in the cards. I didn't really know exactly what route it was going to be, but football was always going to be what I wanted to do.
And you are the director of recruiting at Virginia. And a lot of people don't understand really the titles. You got player personnel, you got director of football operation, director of on grounds recruiting. So, can you talk specifically about your role so people kind of understand a little bit?
Of course, yeah. So my role here, just as a recruiting director, is to essentially just oversee the entire department from a personnel standpoint and also from a recruiting ops standpoint. And man, we have an incredible staff, right? I mean, we have an unbelievable recruiting staff with Katie Gusto, who wears a lot of hats and does a whole lot of work that a lot of people don't see as well. I mean, she's our director of on ground recruiting, but also our assistant DFO. So she's heavily involved with all things visits, all things recruiting operations, but also with our team travel, team logistics, and working with Lindsay Morris there. And then we have Blanda Wolf, right? We have Evan Butts, we have Adam Choice, we have Zach Bradshaw, Kerry Kane. We have a whole team of students and interns. So the operation is quite large, and there's a lot of different things that go into it, from scouting, player evaluation, right, getting kids into school, helping with the freshman transition, transfer portal, all that kind of stuff. So my job is to really make sure that everything is kind of in place. We have a good plan, and then just working with all of our 10 coaches, GAs, and analysts on a daily basis, making sure that plan is being executed. And so like that's from a 30,000-foot view. That's kind of what it looks like on a daily basis. It kind of changes whether it's fall, spring, summer. So right now, it's a dead period in August. So it's kind of like the calm before the storm, right? Because prospects can't visit. So we're not having any visits. We're not having any coaches go on the road or anything like that. But we have a lot of stuff going on internally to prepare for the fall season. We're getting a lot of evaluations done, early evaluations done in the office this time of the year. Kind of just getting everything situated for all of our game days. So Katie's working really hard, making sure that we have a good plan for exactly what each game day is going to look like. And then just really just making sure that every single coach has what they need to be an effective recruiter, right? So That's kind of what I'm doing right now, every single day. And then come December, right? It's on and popping, right? So you have the transfer portal is open. So you're doing transfer portal evaluations kind of 24/7. Coaches are going on the road, so you're coordinating all the logistics of getting coaches to and from high schools, to and from home visits. Um, and then you also have official visits, kind of, that are really busy during the month of December, and then the same is true for January. So um, you're just really rolling kind of all day every day that time of the year. And then springtime is a heavy visit time. So you have spring practices. The calendar opens up in March to where kids can come see you. So you have spring break. So, pretty much every day from March through May, you're going to have a kid on grounds. So that's a heavy visit period for us. And then the summer is camps and official visits. So that's kind of what it looks like from just in a nutshell. There's a lot that goes into it, but in a nutshell, that's really kind of what it looks like from fall, spring, summer. But it's an awesome job. I get to work with great people, and it's really fun to be a part of just building this roster.
Justin, recruiting has changed a lot. I mean, you've seen it. You were at Clemson, then you were at USF, and now here. I mean, just over the course of the last year, a lot has changed. The calendar has changed. The transfer portal has brought a whole different level to the recruiting world and has affected high school recruiting as well as transfer recruiting. How have you guys tried to adapt? What are the biggest things that you've had to kind of switch in how you do things because of those new rules and regulations and just addition to the portal?
Yeah, I think number one, the biggest thing that we've had to kind of just adapt to is just the ever changing calendar, right? So you have things changing really daily, with how the calendar's laid out. Um, Times that kids can come, versus times when they can't come. So now you have unlimited phone calls for PSAs in the 2024 class and PSAs in the 2025 class. So as these rules change, as the calendar changes, we have to have responses right away. So constantly working with our compliance office, trying to get ahead of the curve, trying to get tipped off to when these changes are going to take place. Like, for example, right, in the past, for as long as I was working in recruiting until this year, it was always September 1st to when you could communicate with PSAs in the junior class, right? They bumped it up to August 1st this year. So, and like that was kind of a last minute change that happened really while we were over kind of on vacation. So there's so much work that goes into building your list of prospects that you want to have communication with on September 1st. When that gets bumped up a month, like that caused crazy waves throughout the recruiting world, because so much goes into just identifying that list, kind of establishing exactly what you want to be sent on certain days from certain coaches. And it's a pretty labor intensive program. And everybody in recruiting, like across the country, kind of got like a last minute notification that they were going to bump that up a month. So thankfully, we have a really good compliance office here that gave us ample heads up there, so we could prepare and kind of just really get rolling on having a good plan there. So I think constant communication with your compliance office is critical. Having just an understanding of what's coming down the road, like what's going to be changing, so that we can form a good response to be effective there. So and then just really being just adaptable all the time. And like that was something that we covered in our preseason meetings before camp started. Was just, man, like if they tell us that we have 42 fall eval days for our coach to go and recruit, then we're going to find a way to use all 42, and we're going to be effective. If they tell us that we have 33, which is what they changed the rule to this year, it went down from 42 to 33 evaluation days, then we're going to find a way to be effective with what they tell us that we can do. So I think everybody just having a mindset to where hey, we have to adapt all the time now. Like we know that since COVID happened, recruiting hasn't been the same, college football hasn't been the same. We kind of live in this world where things just change without much warning. So everybody has to be adaptable. Calendars change, plans change, and everybody just has to have a good attitude throughout it all. So I think those things have really been the biggest areas that we've had to kind of just focus on and adapt with. And you know, it's really an ever changing world, and we're going to always be one step ahead of the game, or at least try to, just by working hand in hand with Jason Baum, our compliance director, and just hearing what's coming down the road as far as changes go.
I've often talked about the challenges that face Virginia in recruiting, either in transfer portal or in high school as well. In your mind, what is the biggest challenge at UVA when it comes to recruiting?
I really try not to view things through the lens of, man, this is such a big challenge, but man, what are the opportunities that are associated with it? And so everybody knows that this is one of the top public schools in the entire country. I mean, really in the entire world. So that presents a great opportunity for us to go find the best and brightest student athletes that want to compete in the classroom at the highest level. So does that kind of narrow down exactly the kind of PSAs that we can end up signing here? Without a doubt, it does. However, it also allows us to go and pursue, man, who truly wants to compete at the highest level in the classroom, right? Like who is serious about their academics to the point where they want to come and compete with some of the best and brightest students in the entire world. And so some of that we always talk about as a team, as a program, is finding a team that's and being a team that's fast, intelligent, and tough. Being a fit football team, as Coach Elliott likes to say. And so for us, where that opportunity comes into play is really that the eye and that fit is the intelligent piece. So going and finding the most intelligent kids, the most intelligent football players, guys that really understand the game, who also love football, and really take pride and being the very best football player that they can be as well. So, does that open up challenges? For what that pool looks like, certainly it does. But it's just incredible the type of student athlete that we get to recruit here. That maybe not every school can kind of say that they get to recruit. Guys that really want to go, compete at the highest level in the classroom. So but no, I mean, it's an unbelievable place to sell. We're a top 3 public institution in the country. We play in the ACC. We have some of the deepest traditions, rivalries here in the country. And man, we got a great staff. We got a great head coach to play for. So, we try not to get too caught up in just challenges, and really play to our strengths.
When you're talking about some of the things that stands out to me when I talk to recruits is the new facilities being built. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was just there at practice, we saw the bricks being laid. There's roof. How much has that helped you when you see recruits come on grounds to see that?
That's been just a total game changer for us. Was when a kid can come on grounds and see the fact that, hey, it's not talk. We're not sitting here showing renderings, or we're not showing nicely made graphics that say, hey, we're getting a facility one day. It's being built right in front of them. So the fact that we can actually we can actually take a kid into the facility, have them look around, see how incredibly big the weight room is going to be, see how awesome the team room is going to be, see all the type of sports medicine space and a recovery space that we have. Like, them being able to see that and visualize it has been incredible. So yes, and now the bricks going up, so people are like, man, this thing's really going to be nice. It's going to be really, really nice. It's going to be bigger than they even think too. So that's been huge for us to use. Obviously, something that that we've been talking about for a while, and the fact that it's actually come to fruition thanks to a lot of hard work from Dr. Williams, Coach Elliott, and a whole lot of folks. It's been a game changer for us, Jackie. It's been really really good to sell.
And I know my listeners have heard about this a lot when I've discussed the transfer portal on the show about the challenges Virginia faces in that specific situation because you're not dealing with just GPA, you're dealing with credits going in from one thing to the other. And sometimes the credits don't line up and it's difficult for you to recruit every person in a transfer portal. So you would want to recruit a guy back home in state or recruit a player that obviously can fit in your system on the football field. But there's just so much more to it when you're in Virginia. Could you explain a little bit the kind of challenges or the process of what it looks like when you are recruiting someone from the transfer portal?
The transfer portal admissions process, right, it is a very involved and kind of I guess from an outsider's perspective, kind of a complicated process. So to really put it in a nutshell for everybody listening, like once a prospect gets in the transfer portal, um, there's a lot that goes into, I guess, just discovering if this player is somebody that could be admissible here at UVA. And so I think number one, first of all, we're going to see if the player is somebody who's an undergrad versus a grad transfer. So if he's an undergrad, that presents a few more issues as far as just how many semesters has he been in college for, right? So like what's his progress towards degree? We have certain stipulations here as far as you know getting an undergrad transfer into school here, who is really far down his progress towards degree path. Like let's say like last year I saw a couple of examples, of guys who for example have been in college for 3 years or so that were transferring to be undergrad transfers. And it's not just here; it's a lot of places where having all those credits transfer over in a certain way can be really challenging. And also, man, if you don't have enough credits to transfer, then you're not going to meet certain progress towards degree, and then thus won't be eligible. So, um, for us, the undergrad transfer game, if a kid's been in college for a semester or two or 3 semesters, then that's really the sweet spot for us. They're new to college. They haven't had a ton of hours taken at the previous institution. So that's really a sweet spot for us. And then grad transfers for us are a little bit, I guess you could say, easier to get into school because we have some very flexible graduate programs that kind of work with us. So, um, you know, that's first and foremost. It's just getting a picture of what his academic background looks like. What's his major? How many semesters has he been in school for? If he's graduated, what's he want to do from a graduate school standpoint? Does he want to do, you know, does he want to go the public policy route? Does he want to go the master's in higher ed route? Potentially non-degree seeking. So I think having a good understanding of that, like that, has to come into focus really quickly as we work with our admissions department, to kind of present these guys, and then also train. From a transfer standpoint, these guys got to be really a good fit for us. So like we're never going to be type of program that's built solely on transfers like you might see somewhere else. But nowadays in 2023 in college football, they have a place for sure in our system, and we have some extremely valuable transfers here that we're not only good fits as football players, but we're great fits as kids, great great fits as students, great fits as leaders. So I think having that academic piece come into focus, and then having the fit from a football standpoint and team culture standpoint, that's kind of what we're trying to figure out very quickly, because once a kid hits the portal, it's a very accelerated recruiting very accelerated recruitment. So, a good example, we can kind of touch on it now because he's here on grounds playing for us. But when Tony Muskett and Malik Washington got in the portal, it was like, okay, everybody, we all need to find a way to get Coach Elliott on a plane out to Chicago to see Malik, and then back on a plane flying out to New Jersey to see Tony. And then while that's happening, shoot, you're trying to line them up for official visits. You're trying to get the academic piece all like you're working with Tony to get his transcript, get that over to Adam Brooks at academics for him to do a read. you know Adam Brooks gets back to me a few minutes later with exactly how many credits they project to come into UVA, so I can then tell Tony, hey, here's where you're going to be at. He's comparing that with some other schools that were recruiting him. Meanwhile, Coach Elliott's in the air, with Taylor Lamb to sit down with Tony. So so there's a lot of things going on at once, and to the outsider listening, they're probably think, man, this Justin Speros guy is crazy. It's all over the place with logistics and conversations with certain people, but it really is organized chaos in the transfer game.
Now, diving a little bit into the recruiting process for Virginia, when you look at the offers given by ACC schools to student athletes, Louisville, Pitt, and Boston College are the three schools that have offered the most kids. But then you look at the bottom, and it's UNC, UVA, and Clemson. Was that a conscious approach by Virginia to not offer that many players? And could you discuss the thought process behind it?
And like from the get-go, Coach Elliott said, we are never going to be the program to just throw out a huge wide net of offers and throw out offers that don't mean anything, and especially offers that aren't committable, just because it's really wild that nowadays in 2023, so many offers, you kind of have to do so much homework as far as finding out if the offer is committable. So our stance has has been, man, if we offer you, then we've done all of the homework on our end, right? We've ideally met you in person. You've been up here on grounds. You've showed interest in us. You're the type of student that we want. We've checked all the boxes from a transcript standpoint. We've talked to your coaches. We've talked to your family. We've built a relationship. We've checked the boxes to identify the fit, confirm the fit, that by the time that we offer the scholarship to a kid, then they know it's real. Hold some more weight ideally than maybe the coach that says, hey man, I just watched your tape. We'd like to offer you a scholarship. Does that happen towards the end of the process when you're filling a class? Of course it does. But for us, we're trying to build a class around guys that we've really identified in the process that are really good fits for us. And I think that from an offer standpoint, we just don't want to live in a world where our offer doesn't mean something, where you put our logo on the table and then a guy's like, oh man, they've offered 35 other guys at my position. This isn't really a real offer. So and then for us, man, it's definitely brought up in recruiting for us, because there's some schools that have offered over 600 players in the class of 2024, right? So I guess how can you truly say that every single one of those offers is real, committable, and all that? And every team has their own philosophies, and not speaking poorly against any teams that may have that philosophy, but for us, man, we just place so much weight on our offer just meaning something. So that's really the strategy behind that process.
And what has been the reception of high school coaches and players when it comes to this process, but just in general, as you guys started to regain some of those relationships that might have been lost in the state?
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I think so. The reception from a high school standpoint, man, is they really appreciate the way that Coach Elliott goes about his business, his offer process, and just the way that we're trying to recruit the state. So, I think that it's been great the first 18, 19 months of just building these relationships. Really getting to know just all coaches from across the state and their inner workings, their programs, and just giving them access to our place, right? Like they know that they're more than welcome to come up here whenever they want. They can come in and clinic with our coaches during the spring, sit in on meetings, come to practices and really get a feel for how Coach Elliott runs his program. We had an awesome clinic this past spring where, you know, you could truly feel the just all of the connections, like truly kind of taking place from a relationship standpoint. So it's been a good, solid reception so far.
And one of the big differences is the focus on in-state recruiting and also the Southeast. Was that something you guys immediately saw? I was like, all right, of course, in-state, but also the connections in the Southeast.
Of course, yeah, of course. I think anytime a coaching staff takes over, it's just natural for you to start building connections with the places where you've come from. So in Coach Elliott's case, being a guy that's recruited the Southeast for many years, having strong connections in Florida, having strong connections in Georgia, South, Carolinas, and then building a staff too with coaches who have connections there, right? But a guy like Des Kitchings, who's recruited Atlanta for so long, North Carolina, South Carolina for so long, being a South Carolina native. Excuse me. I think that piece was just natural, having so many guys that have recruited the Southeast on the staff to start to really chip away at just building those relationships and fostering those relationships from all the way up here in the DMV all the way down to Florida. Just kind of branching out throughout the Southeast, and then you add a guy like Terry Heffernan, right, who has connections, in places like Nashville, Tennessee, place that he spent a lot of time recruiting in, and also up in the Northeast and at some of those New England schools, and then just also combining that with a guy like John Rudzinski and Jerome Cox, who have been at Air Force, who have recruited across the country. So we got a cool balance and a blend of coaches with a lot of experience across the country, but specifically there in the Southeast, and that's kind of been our footprint, right? And if you look up and just look at the guys that we signed this past class and guys that we're going to keep signing, it's going to be kind of in the honey hole of the South of Virginia, the DMV, but also that Southeast.
Some of my final questions here. One of them was, what have you learned since your arrival at Virginia? Anything that kind of what you're surprised, and anything I did this in the beginning, but we kind of tweaked it towards now.
Man, I've learned so much. I mean, I've learned. Truly learn every single day that I'm here from everybody in the building. But I think probably the biggest thing as I reflect back on just my first year and a half here is just have an open mindset, right? Like, don't come in with such hard, firm stances on things that you can't work with certain people or find a common ground on a certain recruiting matter, whether it's our stance on official visits, our stance on a junior day itinerary, our stance on an evaluation process with a certain high school player to a certain position, because I've been around certain coaches who have done it a certain way. Was around Coach Elliott for 6 years at Clemson, but having a chance to sit down with Keith Gaither and seeing how they did things at Army, sitting down with Kevin Downing, seeing how they did things at Navy, right? Sitting down with Coach Kitch and talking about certain ways that they evaluated at the pro level, has really helped me and taught me so many things about how things are done just in different buildings. And ultimately we're all going to fall under the umbrella of what Coach Elliott wants, and fall under the umbrella of what his vision for the program is. But there's tons of things that we've identified and that we've implemented that have been suggestions and ways that other coaches and staff members have done it, right? So like Katie Gusto come from West Virginia, they did a lot of great things there from a visit standpoint, from a recruiting content standpoint. So I think just having an open mindset, and just kind of have the just mindset of man, I might have done something for a long time, but there's always a better way to do something, right? So just being open to suggestions and things like that.
Do you ever look back at that first junior day and think how chaotic it was? You just got to Charlottesville, and here you guys are hosting a junior day.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's something that seems like it was about 10 years ago, honestly. I mean, and it's hard to believe that it wasn't even 2 years ago. But no, you hit the nail on the head with how hectic it was. We were all coming from different places. There was like a snowstorm of the century here, so we're dealing with a lot of crazy weather, and just trying to get on the same page where half the people who just showed up there, I've been on the job for less than a week, and we're all still trying to get a feel for grounds, and in Charlottesville, we're all living out of hotels or other coaches' couches, trying to find a place to live. So it was definitely that first month was definitely kind of just fly by the seat of your pants. But I know that we're not unique there in the entire coaching realm. It's in any time that there's a staff change, it's going to be that way. But I definitely look back on that, Jackie, and think about how wild that was. But thankful for the group that we get to work with, because we all just kind of just locked arms and just found a way to kind of get through and just find great players. So
I was gonna say you juxtapose that with what you guys went through in the summer with official visits that you got
yeah,
to plan, you got to recruit these guys for a while. That What was how you approach, because this was you one of the things that I've noticed is from last year to this year in the summer official visits, you guys decided to host two big official visit weekends rather than last year was like a more like 5 players each week. Why was that? And like how much was it because of how you learned on the job since that chaotic first junior day?
yeah. I think what we found has worked well for us in certain situations is just man, like the more that these kids can be around, like guys that they can click with and mesh with, and guys that they can see themselves playing college football with, that's really positive for us. So having large weekends where you have double digit PSAs, that's always a positive, right? If you can pull it off from a staffing perspective. So kind of as that list grows, sometimes we gotta make sure that we're being efficient and effective with how we're going about the itinerary. But no, I think that any kid that comes on an official visit is gonna want to be around kids that they think that they can get along with, potentially room with, play with, and be brothers with. So kind of creates for a more festive environment too. And that's really, I mean it's really as simple as that, right? It's just trying to create good environments, sell the place, and just have authentic relationships with every kid in attendance and their families. So that's really our angle. I mean, it's not super complicated or rocket science. It's been like once a kid gets on grounds, it's relationships, and it's play to our strengths, right? Let's show them everything that they're going to see, and kind of be a part of when they officially touch down on grounds as a student athlete. So um, but we're always going to be very upfront and authentic with which is how we kind of deal with them once they're here on visits.
My last question kind of ties to the first thing we talked about, that crazy recruiting calendar. In the bigger picture, you deal with recruiting on a daily basis. What is the one thing you hope gets changed in this college football world? I talked to a few coaches on the show, and mental health for you guys, especially with just the ongoing grind and the transfer portal windows. What is something you
Yeah.
hope gets changed or at least discussed?
Oh man, Jackie, listen. I mean, that's there's a lot out there, right? That could be changed, probably should be changed. And about 2 weeks ago, our recruiting staff had a chance to go to Nashville for the personnel symposium, where a lot of these things were brought up, and like you have some of the, more well respected just personnel folks across the country, and we all got in a room together and just said, hey, what are some things that just need to change? And so I think one of the things that was changed a couple months ago that really kind of threw a wrench in things is this year was August 1st for that communication opened up to the rising junior class, right? And so, you know, up until this year, it was once you could start texting and writing letters to a junior on September 1st, right? You couldn't even call that kid until April 15th of his junior year. So you had to wait, another 7-8 months, right, to actually place a phone call to him. Now he could always still call you. You could always answer the phone call. Like that's always been the same. That's never changed. But now what they rolled out this year was on August 1st. It's unlimited phone calls for the senior class and the junior class. So you're talking about not only do you bump the date up a month, but you're going to start like all schools can just call these kids as many times as they want to, which is great, which is we're going to take advantage of. Just like I said, being adaptable. Like they told us that's the rule. So man, we're gonna put together schedules. We're gonna put together programs that help us take advantage of that rule. However, right next year, that date moves from August 1 to June 15th, right? So there wasn't really a rhyme or reason for making that change. It's just to match all the other sports. So all the other Olympic sports, that was their rule, right? Was June 15th, you can start calling and texting these anybody that just finished their sophomore year. Well, football is different. Football is a different animal, right? Like there's a lot that goes into to the football recruitment. There's so many kids on your board, as opposed to maybe other Olympic sports where you're not recruiting quite as many folks. And then June in football is the busiest month ever. So you got official visits, you got camps, you got your own team here still. Your team's here working out. You're doing team programming for the guys that are actually on your roster. And then now they're going to throw another wrench into it and add unlimited phone calls and text correspondence, written correspondence, email, all that kind of stuff. They're going to just wedge that right in the middle of all that chaos. So that was probably the most, I guess, spirited discussion that was had. Was there were a lot of personnel folks across the country that stood up and said, hey, this needs to this can't stay at June 15th. It's gonna cause too much stress for everybody because Jackie, just think about it, right? So you're gonna go straight from an official visit where Katie Gusto and her group, getting everything rolling for on grounds recruiting is just working. 24/7 putting together that. We're going to roll right into a camp off an official visit, right? You're probably going to have other unofficial visitors trickling in throughout the week, and then you got your own team there. So your team's training. You got team activities going on as well, and then you're going to mix in. Oh, by the way, Coach Elliott, Coach Rudd, everybody. Like now you're saying that you got to be responsible for kind of just calling every single 2020. I guess it's going to be 2026s at that point, right? Calling them just all the time, writing them all the time, just adding that onto their plate in the middle of the most hectic month of the year from a recruiting standpoint just doesn't make any sense, right? So pushing that back to August, pushing that back to September, that's probably the biggest change I'd like to see. So I know that was a long-winded explanation. Maybe somebody from the NCAA will see this and maybe take that into consideration. But I would say that one, and then Jackie, you should poll a lot of recruiting folks and just see their stance on photo shoots, and something that's kind of gaining some traction. I'm kind of staying neutral on it right now, but something that's gaining traction is just making photo shoots only available on an official visit, just because at certain places and in certain areas they've kind of gotten out of control as far as just what that requires. Because what people don't see on the back end is just how much of a time demand that is for our creative staff and our equipment staff. So I think there was one Big Ten school that filed a proposal to kind of end photo shoots and just make them only available for official visits, because you're talking about creative staffs, equipment staffs, recruiting staffs, putting in hundreds of hours a year for kids to just dress up in the uniform. And 95% of them in the study that didn't even end up signing or coming close to even wearing the uniform. So phone calls, correspondence, just keep it either August or September. Just don't put that in the middle of June. That's just an extra. I mean, that's a lot of work to go on an already full plate there in June, and then the photo shoot piece will be interesting to see what happens there. So again, that was a long-winded way, but there you go.
No, no, I mean, this is if I mean, the coaches just got back from being on the road for spring evaluation period too. That's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah. Exactly. And then people don't really even think about that piece of it too. Is that next year it's going to be a spring contact period. So that was one of the big changes that was made as well. Was previously, Jackie, you get the 100 some odd days of spring evaluation, right? To where now it's going to be 140 days, but they're recruiting person days. Okay. And it's now going to be a contact period. So you can actually, like, our coaches are actually going to be able to sit down and have face-to-face conversations with all the kids in the 2025 class in the spring eval period. So like that's going to require more out of them, as far as just, the spring eval period is a grind in its own right. Like that's when these coaches like earn their paycheck from a recruiting standpoint, is they're, logging a lot of mileage, catching a lot of flights to go maximize their, 16, 17 days that they all get to go on the road. But now you throw in contact with that. So you're talking basically home visits at these schools, where parents are going to be looped into it. Parents are going to be meeting coaches at schools. There's going to be a ton of logistics involved in that. So they're going to be getting off the road from a spring contact period right in June, and then you're going to throw in the phone calls and the communication plans, which it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, to be honest with you. So that would be my biggest deal from a change standpoint.
And you have a manage of trying to get a football team ready for
Yeah,
when it's just
and like that. I mean, that gets lost on everybody too. Is that man? We have a team here. We have 126 guys on the team right now that are all like just absolutely working their tails off, and trying to just like not forget that, those kids in that locker room are why I'm here, why all of us are here. So like not losing sight of that is critical. So
Well, Justin, I appreciate your time today and kind of talking about a little bit behind the scenes of what recruiting looks like at Virginia, and kind of new changes that are going to be challenges for everyone around the college football world. So I appreciate it.
yeah, definitely. No, listen, very, very happy to jump on. Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully, folks can get some some intel from this. But we're super excited to see everybody in Scott Stadium here on September 9th. Just kind of having our first home game, and then man, we're gonna get after it next week in Nashville. So super excited.
And thanks again for Justin for joining us on the show. It's nice to have someone on there to talk a little bit about Virginia's football recruiting philosophy, but also give us the chance to understand some of these new changes that are in the pipeline, that could affect recruiting down the way. So thanks again for Justin for joining us on the show. And thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Why don't you go ahead and like this channel, click on this video, and click the bell so that you're notified whenever a new video is posted. And like I said at the beginning of the show, it's game week. So make sure you tune in to Wahoo's 24/7 and right here as we post new content over the next few days. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the first game week of the 2023 season.